Chairman, thank you, and I want to thank Commissioner Miller. Thank you for the penalty relief that you're providing to filers who've been impacted by storms in the South and the Midwest over the past few days. I can speak from personal experience in South Dakota. We've had a lot of people without power. Our largest community in our state and a few other places, and a lot of damage from recent storms, and so we appreciate your willingness to work with us. And I don't know what that extension is going to be, and we look forward to working with you to try and address as best we can the need that people will have to perhaps have a little bit of additional time to get their returns filed. Let me, if I might, back the issue of fraud, ask this question, because I think there are a lot of Americans who'd be surprised to know that the IRS does not currently match W-2 information against information reported on tax returns so as to prevent the identity theft-related fraud. So I'm wondering maybe if you can explain why this is the case and what, if anything, the IRS is doing to fix the problem. My understanding is that using W-2 information before a tax refund is issued is one of the recommendations that's been made by the National Taxpayer Advocate. So why is that matchup not done?
So the W-2 comes to Social Security. They do a bit of transcription, and my colleague from Social Security can speak to this. Then it comes to us rather quickly. We actually have moved it up, and we are doing some matching. But we're not doing matching as of the 1st of February, which would be, you know, when we would first begin to make those decisions on refunds. We're doing it a little later in the year. So we are getting better at it. There is a discussion in the President's budget about going quarterly for wage information. Or in our case, we also have a test going on of some state wage data. Can we use that? Because that's earlier also. So there are other ways to do this. The fact of not having the W-2s is a mixture of when they come in to the government, and that is a question of burden on both large and small employers. And secondly, when we have to start the filing season, that's a question of how fast people want their refunds. Those are pretty big discussion points that we ought to have as we decide where to go here.
Ms. Olson, that was a recommendation of the Taxpayer Advocate. You want to add anything to that?
Well, we really think that there needs to be a review of the requirements, the due dates, given 21st century technology of e-filing and availability of data. And can that be moved up so Social Security and the IRS get the information? We've always wondered why it is that the IRS doesn't get the information first, and we've proposed a pilot where the IRS, which does its own scrubbing of numbers, is it as good as Social Security to identify, you know, any errors in the data so that we don't need to wait that time. But I think the real thing is you have to look at the dates, the due dates of the start of the filing season and the due dates of the 1099 and W-2 information. How soon can you get a reasonable amount, the bulk of these W-2s in, so that you would have them available to match with the returns? And I think you have to pull in the 1099s on the interest and dividends, because people make little mistakes on that, and it'd be great to get them up front rather than dealing with them after the fact for filing. That's a more taxpayer service benefit, but if you're doing one, you might as well do the other.
Yeah, thanks. Mrs. Lockenfor, this is a little bit off of this particular subject, but I wanted to just ask this question because I posed this question of your predecessor, or I should say I raised a question I think before with the commissioner, but it has to do with the last year's annual report on the financial status of Social Security by the trustees of that program. And we obviously know the challenges that the program faces in the long term, but it indicated that you're going to have Social Security Trust Fund exhausted by 2033, and the Disability Insurance Trust Fund facing bankruptcy by year 2016. So you've got the issue of significant benefit cuts perhaps happening automatically for beneficiaries. And that's why this issue, I think, bears on that other one, and that's why I think it's so concerning. But there's the reports of fraud in the SDDI program, and the Wall Street Journal had reported on some potentially fraudulent practices on the part of law firms such as Binder & Binder representing claimants for disability benefits before the Social Security Administration, particularly in the appeals process where ALJs adjudicate claims. And I guess I'm curious as to what actions the Social Security Administration has taken to address allegations about this law firm and their material representations to the Social Security Administration, and how are you prioritizing the Social Security Administration's program integrity functions within your existing budget to ensure that there is a proper response to fraud claims in the SDDI program?
A lot of questions there. So let me just make one comment about the prior discussion with Ms. Olson about the time it takes us to process wage reports. I just wanted to throw out there that if a wage report is filed by an employer with the Social Security Administration electronically, we turn that around to the IRS within 24 hours, generally speaking. So there really is no delay. That has improved significantly over the past 10 years. So just wanted to put that out there for the record. With regard to the SSDI program, there's a lot of things we could talk about there, probably subject of a whole series of other hearings. But I will say, with respect to any suspicious or fraudulent activity, we have many mechanisms in place to try to combat fraud. I'll mention just a couple. One is our cooperative disability investigation units, which are units around the country where we partner with both the Inspector General and local law enforcement, and we handle any allegations of fraud and abuse, and we do thorough investigations in collaboration with local law enforcement. In addition to that, we have the mechanism, of course, of our own Inspector General, our employees around the country who deal with benefit applications every day have the ability to refer any suspicious activity to the Inspector General. We believe that with all of the mechanisms we have in place, the fraud in the program is still extremely low. We put it at less than 0.5% of all claimants that file benefit claims with us.
How about specifically the allegations about this law firm and their material representations to the Social Security Administration?
From our perspective, we have not substantiated any harm, abuse, misuse with respect to that law firm.
Okay, well, there's been a significant amount of reporting to the contrary, but I appreciate your looking into it and hope you'll continue to stay on top of it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's nobody here. All right. Well, I guess this hearing is adjourned. Thanks.